Welcome back to English Store. Marcus Sterling sat alone in the corner of his own restaurant, wearing clothes from a thrift store worth nearly $10 billion. He owned this upscale steakhouse. But tonight he was just another customer, a forgotten man testing whether money truly bought honesty. The elegant dining room buzzed with conversation. Crystal glasses clinked softly. The scent of expensive wine mixed with seared beef. But Marcus, dressed in a worn jacket and faded jeans, felt invisible, exactly as he intended. He had done this before. These quiet experiments, searching for something real in a world of artificial smiles. Tonight felt different, though. Something was stirring beneath the surface of his carefully built empire. The hostess barely glanced at him. Her practiced smile faltered slightly. His shabby appearance didn't match the restaurant's polished image. She seated him at the worst table near the kitchen doors where the noise was constant and the view non-existent. Marcus watched everything. The way staff moved differently around wealthy customers. How their attention shifted based on expensive watches and designer clothes. It was a performance and everyone knew their role. Then she appeared. The young waitress moved with quiet dignity. Her name tag read Emma. Unlike the others, she looked at him as simply a person. Her uniform was neat, but showed wear. Her shoes, practical but old, told a story of long hours and financial struggle. When Marcus ordered the most expensive steak and a glass of rare wine worth hundreds of dollars, Emma didn't flinch, didn't question, didn't judge. She simply took his order with the same respect she showed everyone. The manager, David Kane, noticed immediately, his face flushed red. He cornered Emma near the wine station. Marcus couldn't hear the words, but the body language spoke clearly. Kane was angry, threatening. Emma stood smaller, more afraid with each passing moment, but she returned to Marcus with steady hands, served his meal with quiet professionalism. There was something in her eyes, though. A weight heavier than just a difficult boss. As the evening continued, Marcus observed more. Kane's behavior towards certain staff members, the way money seemed to flow in unexpected directions, small inconsistencies that painted a larger picture. Emma cleared his table with practiced efficiency. As she worked, a small folded napkin appeared beside his coffee cup. She didn't look at him, didn't speak, just continued cleaning and walked away. Marcus waited, then unfolded the simple message. 4 words that changed everything. Something isn't right here. His heart beat faster. This wasn't what he expected. Not a phone number, not a request for money. It was a warning, a cry for help from someone who had noticed what others missed. The wealthy businessman in disguise had come seeking honesty. Instead, he found a mystery, and a young woman, brave enough to risk everything for what was right. Marcus left the restaurant that night, knowing his simple test had uncovered something much larger. Emma's quiet courage had opened a door he couldn't close. The real investigation was just beginning. Over the following days, Marcus learned the truth. Kane was stealing from the restaurant, charging for premium ingredients while serving inferior substitutes, pocketing the difference. And worse, he was threatening staff members who might expose him. Emma worked double shifts to pay for her younger brother's medical care. Kane had discovered this, used her desperation against her, forced her silence with threats about her job. Her family's survival hung in the balance, but Emma couldn't stay quiet. Not when customers were being cheated, not when other employees suffered under Kane's corruption. Her conscience wouldn't allow it. So, she took the biggest risk of her life. She trusted a stranger, a man in worn clothes who might understand, who might have the power to change things. It was a desperate gamble. But sometimes desperation creates the greatest acts of bravery. Marcus gathered evidence, used his resources to investigate every detail. What he found was worse than he imagined. Cain wasn't working alone. The corruption reached deeper into his business than one restaurant. The confrontation came swiftly. Marcus arrived at the restaurant, not as the forgotten customer, but as the owner. Cain's face went white. His carefully constructed world of lies crumbled in minutes. Emma watched from across the room. Tears of relief streamed down her face. The nightmare was ending. Justice was finally arriving. But Marcus wasn't finished. He turned to address the entire staff. Emma, he announced, had shown extraordinary courage. Her integrity had exposed a serious crime. Her actions had protected countless customers and fellow employees. The scared waitress who worried about paying bills was offered a new position, Director of Quality Assurance, a role where her honesty would be valued, where her voice would be heard, and her brother's medical bills would never again be a weapon used against her. Sometimes the most powerful people are those who seem to have no power at all. Emma's quiet strength had toppled a criminal operation. Her simple act of slipping a note to a stranger changed everything. Marcus learned that night that true wealth isn't measured in bank accounts. It's found in the courage to do what's right. Even when it's dangerous, even when you're afraid, even when everything is at stake. The story spread throughout the company. Employees began speaking up about other problems, other injustices. Emma's bravery had started a wave of positive change. Her willingness to trust had created a culture of honesty. Marcus established a new program. Anonymous reporting for all employees, protection for whistleblowers, regular inspections by independent auditors. He realized his empire needed guardians like Emma. People who cared more about doing right than staying comfortable. Months later, Emma settled into her new role. Her brother's health improved dramatically. The constant worry about medical bills was gone. She could focus on her work, helping other employees find their voice, ensuring quality and honesty throughout the organization. But the real change was deeper. Marcus had discovered something precious in that folded napkin. Not just information about corruption, but proof that goodness existed, that people still chose to do right even when it was dangerous. Emma often thought about that night, how a simple decision to trust a stranger had changed two lives forever. She learned that courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it writes a quiet message on a napkin and hopes for the best. In the end, it wasn't the expensive meal or the billionaire's wealth that mattered most. It was a folded napkin, a whispered warning, and the incredible courage of someone who refused to stay silent in the face of wrongdoing. True heroes often wear simple uniforms, work ordinary jobs, fight quiet battles that no one sees, but their impact ripples outward, touching lives, changing systems, creating hope where there was none. The wealthy man who thought he was testing others discovered he was the one being tested. Emma's integrity had measured his character. Her trust had challenged him to be worthy of it. In helping her, he had found a purpose beyond profit. Emma's story reminds us all that integrity has power, that speaking truth matters, and that sometimes the smallest act of courage can change an entire world. When we choose to do what's right, even when we're afraid, we inspire others to do the same. And that's how one person's bravery becomes a movement of